Hello, friends. In today's world, which is full of uncertainties, it's okay to have self doubt. It's okay to feel underconfident. But have you ever thought that how the top 1% leaders also cope up with these situations? How the leaders fight their battles alone and come out stronger? In today's episode, I have called in a person who is a CXO coach, a published author, somebody who works with the top 1% leaders in the world. He works with noted celebrities like Simon Sinek, Marshall Goldsmith, Stephen Covey. So you get the gist what I'm talking about. He is somebody who will teach us today that how as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as young professionals, we can develop trust, use this trust as a currency, and how we can navigate our careers in these tough times. I hope you like the episode. Good evening, Gautam. How are you?
Good evening, Jitendra. An absolute pleasure to be with you this
Yes,
evening.
yes. For the benefit of our viewers, I know personally what Gautam does, but Gautam, I would like you to take a minute to introduce yourself.
Sure, my name is Gautam Nanglani. On a personal level, I was born and brought up in London, UK, and moved to Dubai and have lived in Mumbai. So these are the three cities I call my home. And in terms of the business hat, it's my be the CEO of Right Selection, which is a father and son family business of over 30 years.
Wow.
And now currently based out of Dubai, and would be happy, I'm sure, in our conversation today to share more insights both personally and professionally.
So, Gautam, thank you so much for this. Thank you for taking out time and coming on to the show for our viewers. Gautam, you are based in UAE currently, and we know there's a lot of geopolitical circumstances are going on in UAE. So, I'll straight dive into the first question. Uh, you work with a lot of CXOs, coaches, and leaders across the globe. So my first question to you is, what is that one thing that is helping entrepreneurs navigate these tough times, especially in UAE and Gulf region?
Yeah, see, to me, at the end of the day, every leader is thrives on challenges because that's what it takes. You know, whether you're a leader in a corporate organization or you're an entrepreneur leading your business. You know, my dad had told me many years ago that change and challenges are two things that will be constant in your entire life. In good times, you'll take on more challenges because you want to thrive, you want to expand, and you grow. And in difficult, challenging, unprecedented times like today, then the challenge is, how do you deal with that challenge? And that's what leaders thrive on. I mean, the foundation of that, I guess, is according to one success principle by Jack Canfield, who's the author of Success Principles. And one of those principles, which I believe I and many leaders live by, is E plus R equals O. E stands for event, and an event could be a happy event, a sad event, an emotional event. It could be from a wedding to a funeral to a successful booming market to COVID to the current scenario. That's the event. The question is R. R is response. How do you, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, respond to the event? Because that's what determines your outcome. It doesn't necessarily mean we're all going to be financially successful in these current challenging times, but we can certainly do a lot of activities in these times that build our business for the long term. So the question is, this is an event that we're experiencing as leaders, as entrepreneurs. The question is, how are you responding to the change? And that will determine the outcome you experience.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, that is such a profound advice that your father has given to you. I really love that advice that challenge and change are constant. Absolutely. And that's what a lot of our books and our religious texts and spiritual texts also talk about.
Absolutely.
Gautam, when we talk about leadership, as you correctly said, that leaders thrive on challenges. But let's say somebody who is navigating this situation and is leading an organization. Now, his or her employees may not be uh, ready to face all these kind of things. So, what according to you, or what have you seen in the markets recently, where some of the leaders are doing to keep the morale of the employees high? How are they tackling the situation and making that the employees also feel confident, both in terms of the security as well as in terms of the business environment?
It's a great question, Jitendra. And, in all honesty, from my experience in speaking to organizations and leaders, it boils down to what we call, let's say, employee engagement. And I think the companies who thrive in these challenging times are those who invest in their people. It's easy to start saying, what do we stop doing? And people naturally say, let's stop the marketing expenses, let's stop the training. I know it's easier said than done, but I, in fact, say do the exact opposite. From a marketing standpoint, you need to be visible and credible and providing value so that when times are better, you are top of mind and not forgotten and waiting for things to get better. And in terms of employees and in terms of teams who could be concerned, stressed, anxious in these uncertain, challenging times, then keeping them engaged with activities could be in health and well-being activities to keep them psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally in a positive state because motion creates emotion. Or alternatively, it or in addition is inviting guest speakers to come and inspire those audiences and realize this is a wonderful opportunity to invest in learning, invest in your health, innovate, create, collaborate, because that's what the opportunity presents itself. It's how do you reframe the situation. So I think leaders who invest in their people to keep them engaged through learning and through health and well-being experiences are the organizations that will thrive in the long term.
Yeah, I can totally resonate with this. I think this also sends a signal when the organization is spending on employees' engagement and keeping them occupied in by reskilling, upskilling. That also sends that okay, hey, guys, this time will pass and we'll make through it. So yeah, that because employees take a lot of subconscious cues of what the management is doing. They always say that no, if the CEO sneezes, the firms get a fever. So yeah. Yeah. So this is really good thing that you have brought up. So continuing on the same theme, uh, you talk about a lot about using trust as a currency in your book. Also, Breaking Bad. Also, you're talking about trust. So I wanted to understand how do you, let's say, a new entrepreneur is coming into the market, or a lot of these professionals, young professionals, I see they quit their job and start their own ventures. So what would you suggest them that how do they bring their own trust equity? How do they build their own trust equity?
When it comes to the topic of trust, I learned a lot on this subject matter from my dear friend and international author and speaker, Stephen M.R. Covey, who's written the books Speed of Trust and Trust and Inspired. In fact, just yesterday evening, I hosted him for a webinar on the topic of trust and inspired leadership.
Yeah,
And
in
it
fact, I
really,
was also part of the call, and I'm so grateful to you to invite me on that call as well.
my pleasure. Yeah, I was very grateful to him, to give his valuable time in inspiring those to, invoke trust with your team, trust with your customers, trust with your suppliers. It really is not a soft subject. And, trust is what builds partnerships, builds collaborations. Internally, trust will improve the employee loyalty. If it's trust with customers, you're top of mind as a preferred partner. They have a choice. Customers have a choice where to go with their business. When they have trust in terms of the suppliers, in terms of the vendors, then they will automatically give the business that they have to them. So trust needs to be something that is advocated from the top. It starts with the leader, first with their internal teams, be it their employees, and then obviously in turn with the customers. And it's extremely important in challenging times more than ever because people have choices to make, and they will go where trust exists.
So how do we how what would you give an suggestion to a young entrepreneur or a young professional getting into the workforce? How do they can develop the trust for themselves?
Trust, for example, it always comes by keeping your word. Is one great example. Many people overpromise, underdeliver. I always prefer to underpromise and overdeliver because things like commitment on your time. Whether it's meeting times, you got to communicate. If there's a challenge to be on time, then certainly communicate. So ultimately, it boils down to your commitments, your promises, and when things go wrong, how do you communicate? That's a critical example because on a daily basis, we're making commitments for meetings, for deadlines, for proposals, for ideas. And when you make those promises, are you honoring those promises and commitments on a daily basis? And if a situation arises, do you communicate promptly, proactively on that? Because even when things go wrong, when you communicate, that still enhances trust. When people do not honor their promises and commitments, then trust is weakened. If they do not communicate when there's a challenge, then trust weakens. And this is a simplistic daily, weekly example in every business.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. If you don't follow through on your what have you said, you don't keep your word, then the trust erodes very, very fast. Gautam, when we're talking about on the subject of young professionals and entrepreneurs, uh, I see a lot of people. I'm seeing the world divided into two different camps. One camp is all gung for networking. So every new entrepreneur I meet is no, I want to network, I want to go and meet people, exchange cards. And then there is another world that I see, another camp in the world where people are just no, networking is not my cup of tea, or I don't like to sell myself. I'm seeing a lot of confusion between entrepreneurs. So what would you suggest? How do you differentiate between networking and connecting and building that personal brand? Because meeting somebody, exchanging cards, and then you just fell apart and just a follow-up email or something like that. How do you develop trust in that situations, and what it does to your personal brand?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. And to me, networking is something I'm deeply passionate about, but it's also often misunderstood. To me, firstly, there's a saying, the bigger your network, the bigger your net worth. It's something that many people talk about. But that networking and net worth has absolutely nothing to do with exchanging of business cards. So, firstly, it's about networking with intention. When you're attending an event or you're choosing, firstly, there are no shortage of networking events wherever you are, whichever city, country you're in. The question is, what's your purpose of networking? Are you networking to learn? Are you networking to meet customers? Are you networking to build relationships? Are you networking for industry related activities? What's your purpose of networking? And let's assume every entrepreneur's network is, my goal is to build my business. However, when you go there, if you go around what they say in BNI, like, are you a hunter or a farmer? And to me, I
Yes,
see people going to an event, 100 people, and they're just giving out business cards, exchanging business cards. That's a hunting approach. You're just about data collection. You'll then send LinkedIn messages, you'll send email messages, and they'll just be, counterproductive. For me, less is more. I mean, I have an intention to meet five people. And when I say meet, I want to have a conversation with five people. I may meet 10, 15 people, but my goal is to have five conversations. And how do you define a conversation? If you can comfortably write an email or LinkedIn message within 24 hours to five people, and you can put context. Hi, Jitendra. It's an absolute pleasure meeting with you yesterday. Thank you for sharing me about your new project that you're launching in Dubai. I'm wishing you every success. If there's anything I can do to add value to your upcoming visit, please connect with me. Happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. Warm regards, Gautam. Now, that means that, I had a conversation with you. I acknowledge your time. I planted the seed about something you're planning to do. I offered my help, and I am happy to connect on LinkedIn, as opposed to, hi Jitendra, let's connect on LinkedIn, and this is my website and this is my number. Can we have a call to meet? You're like, I don't even remember meeting you. I just got your card, you got my card, and I got another sales pitch selling me. Whereas
yes,
Gotham met
yes.
with you, reference the conversation. So is that what I call breaking bread? You emotionally connect with the person, that you can write a message to them, even if it's one or
Absolutely.
two sentences, not just to connect, just because you got the business card. It's just going into the database. So coming back to the point is networking with intention. I set a specific number of five. It could be more, but I say five is a good manageable number. And I network very mindfully, intentionally where I'm networking. So I network in Dubai, for example. One of the great communities organized by is Phil Bedford and Michelle France. They have a community called, Strategic Business Connect, popularly known as SBC, and they have curated deep dive tables. I was at one just yesterday. It was called Speakers, Podcasters, Authors, and Coaches. 12 people around a table. It's facilitated by Phil himself. And we learn, we share, we contribute. I left that meeting with 3 one-to-one meetings. I left the meeting with a podcast invitation. And I left the meeting with a potential collaboration with the publisher who's looking to help his authors become speakers, and I'm looking for speakers who want to be published. And that all
Wow.
happened with intentional networking. I don't even call it networking. It's a form of networking, but it's very intentional and strategic. And
Absolutely.
that's customized by that particular community. But when I go to large industry events like HR conferences, 1,000 people. When I attend 1,000 people, then you got to be very strategic. I let the team collect business cards, no problem. I'm there to meet people and have intentional, valuable conversations.
Wonderful, wonderful. And on the same time, you must be knowing, but for an audience knowledge, Phil was the first guest that we had on podcast. And we started with English podcast and M2S Career Mantras. Such a gentleman. Phil actually connected me to Jeff, and Jeff has connected me to Gautam, and I'm so humbled and obliged. Just a word of appreciation for Phil here. He's a wonderful, he's a superb guy. Likes to help everybody, like even without any expectation. I just met him once on his one of his international calls. I dropped him an email or a message on LinkedIn, and since then I feel like no, I've got 4 or 5 different friends: Phil, Jeff, Gautam, everybody. Right? Thank you so much for Phil. I think thank you, Gautam, for bringing up Phil as well. And I know he's doing such a fantastic job with LBC. So, Gautam, my next question is: you work with a lot of CXOs, lot of speakers, lot of publishers, a lot of people build their own teams to scale. I want to understand from you what are the top leaders or 1%, top 1% of the world? How are they building their teams? What are the skills they see when they or what are those personal traits that are absolutely non-negotiable?
Yeah, I mean, see, we take it as a given that someone who's got a great CV and comes for an interview is competent. Either he comes with a wealth of experience, industry knowledge, or for that particular role that he or she is looking to fill. However, when I look at myself or many leaders, it's all about building a world-class A team. And for me, an A team comes not necessarily about the person with the most experience or industry knowledge. That's obviously important to a certain level. But to me, the attitude of the person in a meeting, and you can sense if someone's got a positive attitude, a solution mindset, and secondly would be how they communicate. Do they communicate positively? Do they have good energy? When they frame a challenge, is it framed in a way to learn from, or do they look at it in a negative way? So how do they respond and communicate with challenges? So for me, it boils down to attitude, communication, energy, and then the mindset. What kind of mindset do they have? And irrespective of the role they play, whether it's a leadership role, a sales role, a marketing role, even an admin role, do they have an owner's mindset? I mean, definitely they need to learn on the job in the beginning. They'll have an orientation and induction, but once they've settled in, I definitely want to employ each and every employee to have an owner's mindset where they are not micromanaged by me or any leader. They are definitely empowered. And so you want that person where they take a stake in the business as if it's their own business and can, within reason, take necessary decisions. And that to me is what makes a great team player. That is definitely someone I would invest in.
Super, super. Uh, I mean, continuing on this theme of building an A team, uh, and this is the same thing. Almost every great successful entrepreneur has told me that they hire for the mindset. So basically, you hire for attitude, you train for skills. Uh, but we are living in a very evolved and a changing world. Uh, there is AI coming into picture. There is Gen Z coming into picture. The time spans are shortening. The attention spans are shortening like at a great plan. People get bored within 5 seconds if the reel is not working. So my question to you again is, how do you tackle as an entrepreneur or as a leader? How do you tackle with these kinds of challenges? Like, let's say if you are hiring a Gen Z and you know certain skills Gen Z would be bringing in, how are you dealing with Gen Zs? And then next point is how are you dealing with AI? Are these challenges exposing a leader or giving him a new opportunity to level up?
That's a great, great question. I mean, I've heard people say the speed of change today has never been as fast as it has been, and it's only going to get faster. I
Yep.
mean, typically in my parents' time, people would stay with one job for 40, 50 years and retired. They start a job at 21, they left at 60, 65, 70, retired, that's it. Today people change jobs on an average every 3 years, and sometimes even shorter. People's attention spans, technology, AI, so even people may, Gotham, you are 30 years in business. Now, in the past, 30 years in business would give you, a feather in your cap. That means your business is thriving and you are confirmed to be in business for a long time. That's no longer the case. In fact, as an entrepreneur, people ask me, how do you position yourself? I said, I'm a startup with 30 years experience.
Wow.
And they say, why do you say that? I said, because to me, as a startup, you got a hunger to learn, you got a hunger to grow. You're not complacent. There are people who don't have that beginner's mindset and take it, are in complacency that I've been in business 10, 15, 20, 30 years. I deserve the business that will come to me. I mean, to me, a startup can take over a company that's been in business 30 years if we're going to have that approach and attitude. So to me, learning is a lifetime journey. As Mahatma Gandhi himself said, stop learning, stop living. And that's more than ever, extremely critical. I mean, I'm constantly fine tuning, listening to podcasts, reading books, learning from people who have more experience than me. And yes, when it comes to AI, to me, we need to become best friends with AI. It's not that AI I see is replacing. Human connection can never be replaced, but definitely automated, mundane, routine things are going to be done by AI so that we can use our human brains to do things even better, maybe have a better quality of life, a better balance, or be in more innovative, because nothing can beat a human to human interaction in person, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, at an event. But definitely a lot of mundane routine tasks can be taken over by AI. So to me, I think in summary, it's a beginner's mindset, continuously learning and embracing technology so that you're constantly innovating and up to date on what the latest trends are.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, that's a very apt advice. I'm surprised, no. I've met so many people, and very few people say this that I'm a startup with 30 years of experience. Usually, when entrepreneurs they have this elongated run 10, 12, 15, 20, 30 years, a certain amount of ego creeps in. Boss, I've run this business for 30 years. I know you personally. That's why I know this is not a surprise for me that you are still humble and you're still showing yourself as a startup. But how do you deal with this? Uh, don't you ever get this feeling? We've run for 30 years. The next 30 years are going to be cakewalk for us. We have established ourselves in the industry. How do you deal with that situation? How do you avoid this situation that this should not get into?
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely thank my dad because he said to me four words which he repeats to me time and time again is this too shall pass. And he
Yes.
says that because when you're successful, if you let that success go to your head and you have an ego and you feel privileged and you feel on a high, then that will be your biggest downfall and your weakness. So you need to stay humble, stay authentic, stay to your true self, and keep learning. And at the same time, when things are challenging like they are now, this too shall pass should give you the encouragement, the inspiration to keep going. And to me, it goes back to what I shared earlier, Jitendra, E plus R equals O. So if I'm going to be, complacent or have an ego or stop learning or think I know it all, then I'm going to have a different outcome than when I have a beginner's mindset and hungry to learn and I'm taking action. So the response you have to the outcome of being in business 10, 20, 30 years and how you respond will determine the outcome. And I just so believe in that principle by Jack Canfield that in every situation I remind myself that how am I going to respond to this current
Absolutely.
situation? Am I going to depend on how long I've been in business or am I going to learn AI and tech? Currently, I'm saying I'm on a course where I'm learning to move from Chat GPT to Claude. I'm learning about Notion. Is it comfortable? I'll admit, absolutely not. I'm like out of my skin. I'm doing it with someone who absolutely loves it on my team and telling her, you drive this project. I will learn slowly but surely. And I'm so grateful that I have someone younger in my team who's very familiar with what I need to learn, but I'm embracing it. I'm taking it upon myself and learning whilst I'm on the job.
Super, super. Yeah. That note still, I think the lessons that you talk about, and I'm sure that you work with so many gurus across the globe. Those lessons, I can sense that these are ingrained in you. Uh, I'll take a minute here to talk about a book called Breaking Bread. Now, I'm coming from an HR background, and recruitment and HR is my forte. But I wanted to learn it from you, uh, how the hiring managers and recruiters can use the philosophy of breaking bread to find talent that actually fits the organizational culture. Because nowadays, as per my observation, uh, talent and skill sets are there, but a lot of people they leave the organizations because of this culture or the deficiency of trust that we spoke about earlier. So, what is that philosophy that you described in Breaking Bread that can be applied in recruitments?
That's certainly a new question for me to ask, Jitendra. Breaking bread in times of recruitment. I mean, the best thought that comes back to my mind is, see, breaking bread, while simplicity is breakfast, lunch, dinner, and connecting. My book does go deeper and tell you that it's about emotionally connecting with people. So, in the context of recruitment, I would want the HR leader, the person in charge of recruitment, when you have a prospect in front of you, is get to know that person personally, get to know them, put them at ease in the interview. Don't intimidate them, because it can be daunting to come for an interview. So we want to put their mind at ease, because then you'll get to know their true potential, and as opposed to putting too much pressure. So I would definitely say the first 5 to 10 minutes, ask them open-ended questions which makes them relax. For example, let me know about your family. What are your biggest passion? What sports do you like? What movies do you like? That might have nothing to do with the interview itself, but these are questions which immediately the person is at ease to answer. You'll even learn from those, because what's his favorite movie could tell you what kind of
Yes,
personality he has, or what sports he plays tells you he's a person who exercises. But he starts talking about that, and his body language will be at ease.
yes,
Then you've got him relaxed. His BP, which could be in place at the beginning of the meeting, comes
yes,
down,
yes,
coming stable. It reminds me of when you go to see a doctor. I mean, I will say, whether it's that white coat analogy that people use, where people suddenly have a
yes,
racing BP for no reason, just because they're the doctors.
yes.
So I myself will talk to my doctor 5 minutes. I'll say, let's have a five. He himself or she himself, whenever I've met any, we talk 5 minutes general, and then we get into a conversation. And I think the same for recruitment.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, this is a very valid point because if the candidate is comfortable enough, he will be giving the kind of answers that are authentic. Otherwise, if he's not comfortable, he's not feeling confident enough. He might be having good potential, but then he will not be able to give all those authentic answers because he can crumble in pressure. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like to implement that in the next time when somebody comes to interview with me. You work with a lot of accomplished uh, personalities, people who achieve a lot in their lifetimes, and then they are going on to become speakers, publishers. What are those one pattern if you have observed across all these successful personalities? That is point one. And point two, is there any timeline? Because why am the question this is coming from my experience with my own team. I see a lot of youngsters today feeling restless as 25, 30, feeling that they have not achieved enough in life. So the solution they feel, again, from the HR and recruitment point of view, the solution they think is I should not jump jobs every 2 years. That's how I'll increase my salary. That's how I'll become successful. I want to understand from you, somebody who's worked really closely with the top 1% of the successful people on the planet. What is the pattern? How do you feel that they achieve success?
Yeah, great question, Jitendra. I mean, for me, I actually did in COVID time interview over 100 people actually on LinkedIn Live, and I used to observe the patterns, because these were very successful authors, speakers, CEOs, And one thing that was consistent is, I would say, majority, if not all of them, were morning people.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them prioritized exercise non-negotiable. I mean, even a 70-year-old was super fit and healthy. Marshall Goldsmith,
Yeah.
would do 10, 15,000 steps a day, non-negotiable. Travel airports, he would walk, and while he's waiting for baggage, he's not waiting for the bag. He's walking non-stop until his bag arrives. So mental, physical, sorry, so movement would be one. Second would be, their sleep is a superpower. They sleep early, at least on weekdays, and get up early. They eat right, and they're constantly investing in their own learning, because they say we as leaders can only be the best version of ourselves to our family, to our team, to our customers, if we take care of ourselves. I mean, in your life, Jitendra, you are the most important person in life, but sometimes we focus on taking care of other people, whether it's our spouse, our parents, our in-laws, our kids, our employees, and we put ourselves last. But you taking care of yourself in your personal life helps you be the best version of yourself. I mean, you can only give others what you have inside. So if you're
Absolutely.
physically fit, mentally fit, emotionally fit, happy, fulfilled, and you got that drive, that's what you're going to pass on to everyone around you, be it at your personal space or professional space. So those are some of the attributes that came about. They really took out priority to take care of themselves at least 1 to 2 hours a day. To answer your question about employees, I mean, it is what I'm observing. If those in their 20s and 30s, I'm not sure of how we can guide them differently. We just got to do our best as entrepreneurs and leaders to create an environment, because they, I feel, get bored very easily. They like to be challenged regularly. So I think as a leader, if I can keep the work environment interesting, challenging, that will keep them engaged. But long have gone the days where I do the same work every day and day out for 40, 50 years. They want a challenge, on a regular basis, like, so that keep being challenged. So I think that's what comes to my mind in response to that question.
Wow. Yeah. I'll share one particular personal experience. Uh, so I started this business, and I was doing good. COVID came. After COVID, we bounced back, and we were really working hard. It came to a point when I was working 16, 18 hours a day, and I hadn't taken a vacation like for 3 years. As we speak, still in last 1 year also, I've not taken a vacation, but I'm trying to improve on it. This month, and so we are shooting this in May. I promised my wife that we'll take a vacation in July. So there came a point in my life when I felt really sick. Sick to the core that doctor absolutely advised me to catch your mobile phone for the next 7 days. You have to just sit and take complete bed rest. And that's when I realized that if I'm not in the best of my shape, how am I going to lead a team, and how my organization is going to survive? That's a personal anecdote that I wanted to share. That's what you said. The lot of A plus achievers, or the 0.1% of the most successful people, they take care of themselves. One more thing on the aspect of working with successful people. Do you feel that they need external motivation, or what motivates them to know that I want to be the top 1% of the 0.1% of the world? Is it motivation? Is it something intrinsic? Or yeah, we love heroes. So a lot of heroes, they have some trauma in the childhood, so that guy wants to become a go past that trauma. Is it really the case that you have to fight something very challenging in your life so that you can become a superhero? What is that one thing that drives typically the 1% of the world?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it goes to the book by Simon Sinek, Start With Why. And each one of us has a different why and a different purpose that drives us each and every day. We may be in the same job, in the same company, or similar jobs, but ultimately, what drives you and what drives me could be completely different. So, to me, from a HR manager or recruitment point of view, I'd really want to find out what is that why for each of my team members. And someone, maybe his why is because he's deeply passionate about the industry, which comes from what he studied or his exposure or his personal passion. There'll be some purpose behind that. Someone could be doing it literally, his purpose is because he needs a good credible company to work for to earn enough revenue to take care of his family. So it's a sense of security. So everyone has a different reason, and no wrong or right, no judgment here at all. But I think from a HR perspective, I think, and a leadership perspective, I would like to know what is the why of each of my team members, because it helps me to you know add even more value sometimes personally to them. Like sometimes taking a day off on a special occasion um, could may give that employee or that team member so much happiness and joy, but to someone else it may be tickets to a cricket match or a concert. Someone else it could be a sign book. I mean, these are very small examples, but everyone's got different things that excites them. So I think is, why have you taken this job? What's your purpose? What's your dream? Where would you like to be in 3 years, in 5 years? And asking some open-ended questions gets them to give you clues in what drives them every day to get up and be at work.
No, again, circling back. So you work with a lot of CEOs, CXOs, leaders. What are the factors that you have observed that why are those guys no top of their performance, top of their A game every time? Is this motivation intrinsic, or there are certain factors that lead them to live the life they are living like?
Uh, I'd say both. I mean, to me, intrinsic, yes, absolutely. Goes back to the earlier answer I go is, one is they take care of themselves to be the best version of themselves. Generally, most leaders are hungry for growth, hungry for success, hungry for acknowledgement, hungry for progress. So they get up every day wanting to make a difference, to push the needle, either in becoming a better leader, in increasing the company's profits, in growing the company's size, in diversifying, whatever term we use. They all want to progress. Each and every day they want to progress. And progress can have different definitions to each leader and to every company. And that's what drives a good leader. He's got to be excited every morning to get up and get to work, and meet his team, meet the customers, and to have those conversations that, what can we do today that can make tomorrow an even better tomorrow, and what can we do this month that makes the year ahead or the quarter ahead even better. So I think it's driven about progress, growth, success, in different forms.
Again, staying on this same theme that you work with so many CEOs personally, you work with a lot of rising stars as well in your coaching business, and I want to understand, have you seen some patterns or the mistakes that people do that stops them from becoming a player? Like they can be good player, they can be, but they are not great players. What is that one thing that's stopping them, or the factor or the mistakes that people keep on repeating, so that they are not great? They are good. They may be above average. They may be good, very good, but not great.
Then, yeah, it could again be one of many things. Ego is definitely one. People in prime positions feel that respect. They feel they deserve success, and to me, or deserve respect. But that comes, you need to earn it, and not earn it once. You need to earn it again and again and again to maintain that. So ego could be one downfall. Um, you know, that would be one example to me. Complacency could be another, where they feel we've achieved everything and we've earned the right for business or earned the right for having the best team. Um, you know, what else would there be? It would be, are you a leader that people look up to? Are you a great role model? It's one thing telling your team to do things. Are you a great role model? So your team is inspired that, oh my God, my own leader or manager is doing X to do whatever it takes to make the business thrive. And so you lead by example. And those who don't lead by example and are just delegating, but they themselves are not walking the talk, then that's counterproductive. I mean, these are two or three ideas that come to mind.
Yes, yesterday we were on the call with Mr. Kavi, and he had said this, no, difference between charisma and gaining trust. So some leaders just focus on charisma, and some people just gain trust from the team. I can
Yeah,
get it from there. Yeah. So I'm at the almost at the end of the conversation, but I have a couple of questions from you. One,
sure.
what is that one personal mantra to success that you follow? So we are mantras to success, and I would like one personal mantra to success that Gautam follows in his life.
A mantra. I mean, mantra. Um, so many come to my mind. I'm trying to think of anything in particular. I mean, I did mention to you about, in terms of what's an example of a mantra for you? Let me know. That may trigger the right one for me to share. Could you give one from your side, Jitendra?
Yeah. So my one personal mantra is never give up. So I've seen a lot of challenges in my life, but my personal mantra is never give up. Either I die or either I succeed. That's my mantra.
Yeah, to me, I would say is one of my mantras that I really stand by is every problem has a solution.
Okay.
And so it's all about whatever the challenge or problem or situation, there is a solution. And so once I believe in that, then my brain immediately moves to what is the solution? Who do I need to speak to? I guess it goes back, I don't know, mantra, I'm elaborating a little bit here, but my dad said, for every situation in life, there are three things, which is which helped me in my earlier childhood days when I went through a very difficult time in my teenagers. He said, surround yourself with the right people, continuously learn, and take action. So I live by those three principles that my dad invoked in me from a young age. I'm constantly making sure I'm surrounded by people who uplift me, encourage me, inspire me, help me be the best version of myself. Because if you spend time with toxic people, they will draw you down. So spend time with the right people. I continuously learn every single day, even if it's 15, 20 minutes, book, audio, podcast, video. I must do some learning to, and then I take action. If something I like, I take action within 24 hours. Because if you take action, then it can become a habit. It can become, otherwise, we're just being inspired by content and we just feel good, but we're doing nothing about it. So that's a slightly different, elongated version of it, but otherwise,
Yeah,
in
it's
this.
absolutely fine. So coming on the tough challenges of your childhood, I did some research and I came to know that you faced bullying in your school and how your dad helped you overcome that. But I
Yeah,
did not purposely touch on this podcast because I want to have a separate podcast on how to overcome challenges like these in life. That would be in a separate show. But
sure. My pleasure.
since this interview, this podcast was focused on careers and the mindset of high achievers. I did not touch on that part, but yeah, that is another podcast that will be doing soon. Yeah,
Sure.
Gautam, you work with some of the top gurus in the world, Marshall Goldsmith, Stephen Covey, lot of others. I was just mesmerized by looking at your website. You know how so many gurus that you are currently you work with Simon Sinek and lot of these investors. What is that one piece of advice that somebody has given to you and that has stuck with you? And I know a lot of people, you are the first name basis with them. They consider you as a dear friend. So I'm sure somebody would have given advice that has always stuck with you.
There's so many pieces of advice I've had, and I'll keep it concise, but, Marshall Goldsmith, to me, his book's name itself tells you the advice. What got you here won't
Won't get
get
to
you
what
there.
you go.
What got me here to where I am or where you are in your life today will not take you where you go. We need to, again, goes back to continuous learning. So because of just that title, that book talks about 20 habits we need as leaders. But I constantly, just the title triggers everything to me. It's like, don't be complacent, because what got me to where I am today is not going to take me forward. I have to keep learning and unlearning and relearning. So that I have my biggest learning from him. My other learning is from a speaker by the name of Ron Kaufman, who wrote the book Uplifting Service. And he
Hmm.
always talks about, um, going above and beyond for your customers. And that could be internal customers, your team. It could be external customers, because everyone will do, you say, I provide good service. That's a given. I provide a great product. That's a given. I deliver on time. It's a given. If you don't deliver on time, you don't deliver a good product, at the right price, you're not going to be in business anyway. So that's not a USP. The USP is you're creating some unique value that adds value, that's memorable, that's meaningful, that's emotional, that's there. So he's always, my biggest learning is that do something different, do something
Wow.
special, do something unexpected. And that's for everyone, be it my
Go the
family.
extra mile.
Yeah, do go the extra mile. Make that it doesn't mean you go out of your way, but do a little extra every single time and add value. So these are
Wonderful.
two great messages that stand by in my mind. Obviously, Jack Canfield, I did mention earlier, E plus R
Yes.
equals O. So these
Yes.
are three great ideas that I have from all of them.
So this brings me to the last question of the podcast. Gautam, one mantra to success that you would like the audience to follow. My audience is typically young professionals, leaders, entrepreneurs who want to take their life to the next level, either by getting into a better job, starting their own business, getting to the next orbit of life financially that gives them satisfaction. So one mantra to success that you like to give to the audience.
It goes back to one of the ones I said earlier. Learning is a lifetime journey. Stop learning, stop living. I really want each of you to realize no matter your age, 20, my dad at age 70 is still learning till today. He's still reading, he's watching
Yes.
podcasts. It keeps his mind active, it keeps him fresh, it keeps him relevant. He's contributing with ideas to the business at age 70. To me, as a 20-year-old, if a 70-year-old plus gentleman, in fact 78, God bless him, to remain happy and healthy. Now if someone at age 78 is listening to podcasts, watching YouTube, reading books, then to me that speaks leaps and bounds of 20-year-olds, that we need to keep learning, keep innovating, and be up to date. And then above all is take action. So I would say inspired action from continuous learning would be my message.
Absolutely. Again, a word of appreciation to your father. Yesterday, I was seeing him in the call. He was so focused and listening to Stephen Covey. I was just, that was a fanboy moment for me because at this age, when people, I've seen a lot of, even my own father, once the retirement kicks in, then you sort of just let go of everything. Because father was so attentive and listening to Mr. Covey that I was feeling this slight amount of joy in looking at him. That he's still so active, he still wants to contribute. So that's an appreciation for your father as well. So with this, Gautam, thank you so much. We end the podcast here. I'm sure my listeners, the audience of this podcast would have definitely got some value. For all the people watching this podcast, Gautam is a fantastic guy. Just go out and check his book, Breaking Bread. Go out and visit his website, and you will see a lot of wealth of a treasure of the knowledge, a lot of things that can help you improve your mindset. So thank you everybody, and tune in for the next episode soon. Thank you, Gautam.
Thank you so much, Jitendra. It's been an absolute pleasure and privilege to be on your podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.